Have you ever heard this saying, the quality of your questions is the quality of your life? It determines the quality of your life. Have you ever heard this saying? I remember when I first heard this saying, and I thought, what does that even mean? Well, I'm going to let you in on another little secret. That's not such a secret. And even other people that you've listened to, your Tony Robbins, your Bob Proctor, they say things like the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. Okay, and it might sound more catchy than anything. Like, oh, here they go with this catchy saying again. But the fact is that as humans, we're constantly asking questions. That's all we do all day long is we ask a question, then we seek and we find the answer. We ask the question, we get an answer. We ask the question. You might ask the question out loud. It's the best part about like a 2-year-old, always asking the question out loud. Stop. We're constantly asking questions. The thing is we're typically asking questions that aren't going to get us where we want to go. Right? We ask questions like, oh, why does that always happen to me? Or we start to plan for the worst. Like if that's built into the way you do things, where you were always told you got to plan for the worst, plan for the worst, plan for the worst. So you spend so much time planning for the worst that you're asking questions that are mentally preparing you. Well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And then when that happens, it's like we go, good thing I planned for the worst because that happened. Of course it happened. Okay, the questions we ask ourselves, they're powerful, for better or for worse. Okay, questions direct our focus, our energy, and our attention, and our intentions. And not only that, understand that wherever you focus your attention, it will soon become your reality. That's just the way it works. Where focus goes, energy flows. You've heard that one, right? Like the questions you ask yourself, they have the ability to completely open your mind or close it. If you're out there preparing for the worst without even realizing it, you are cutting off so many avenues. It's like you have a fork and you're just like, meh, there's one way, the worst, because that's what you're planning for. If you really want to take yourself to the next level, one of the biggest things I recommend that you do is really sort out the questions that you ask yourself all day, every day. Because frequently, you're not, like I said, you're not asking the questions outside of you. You're asking them inside your head. So it's between you and you. So if you hate what you do, how you spend your 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, you might ask, why is my job so crappy? Why are the people I work with so mean or whatever? Well, you ask yourself, why is my job so crappy? Well, what's the answer supposed to be? You're going to come up with all the reasons why your job is crappy. Well, it's boring and the people I work with, and what's the point of even what I do? Or I got to work shift work, or I have to do this. You'll come up with all the reasons why your job is crappy. And then what happens is the thoughts that you think, they then turn into emotions, because that's the way it works, right? You think something, you take in through your 5 senses why your job is so crappy, and then you attach an emotion to it. This is your thinking mind. Your subconscious is your feeling mind. Okay, so you start to then feel, man, my job's crappy. I feel stuck. I feel uninspired. I feel drained. I feel tired. Even though I sit all day, or I'm not really active during the day, but I feel exhausted at the end of the day. That is your number one indicator that you're just not living a life on purpose. You're not doing what you're meant to be doing. You're doing it because it pays the bills, which is not a good reason. Lots of things can pay the bills. Right? So then you say to yourself, you'll try to justify it. Like, I'll make myself feel better by doing something really fun this weekend. And like, I think every really good, catchy song is talking about how we live for the weekend, right? But the end result is still, you got to go back to work on Monday. Your thinking didn't change because you were asking yourself poor questions. Okay. Poor quality questions will deliver a poor quality answer, not an answer that you want to perpetuate over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. So it's up to you to flip it. Okay. So even in this visual, I have a negative sign and a positive sign representing the law of polarity. The law of polarity states that everything has an opposite. Everything. Up, down, in, out, hot, cold, left, right, north, south, good, bad. Okay, so you get to, instead of asking yourself questions that are going to get you going down this rabbit hole and they're going to get you more of the same, you have the opportunity at any point, it starts here, to start thinking differently. You start thinking, what do I love about my current job? This is what I tell everybody when everybody's like, oh, I need to get on purpose. I can't work in this industry, or I can't do this job anymore. It's driving me bonkers. I say to them, what do you love about that job? What do you love? I know when I decided to switch it up from working in corporate healthcare to going out on my own, first thing I had to do, I didn't realize I was doing this, by the way, but I was like, what do I love about this job? Like love, like it gets me up in the morning. And I mean, immediately for me there, that's what I realized. I'm like, damn, I'm really good at this job. Like I'm rocking it 5 days a week. But it's actually, out of a month, there's probably 3 days in a month that I'm like, woo, get to go to work today. Like I'm pumped because I get to. So what is it on those 3 days that you get to do that pump you up? Or during, I get to go to this event, or I get to organize this, or I get to, what is it? Okay, grasp onto that. There's something in there. And then ask yourself, how could I get to do that every day? How could I get to do that every day? Like, what if, I like to play the what if game. What if I got to do that every day? And then you'll start to find the answers. Oh, I remember when I got a chance to, go on that field trip with my son, Tommy, and I got to do this. I really loved that too. Add it to your list. And before you know it, instead of perpetuating the things that you hate about your life, you'll start to look at all the things that bring you joy. And then you start asking really good questions around it. How can I do more of that? Because guess what? Those things bring you joy. All the things that bring me joy, you guys, they're not the things that necessarily bring everybody joy. I can guarantee it. And there's things that other people like that I'm like, ugh. I even look at my own household, right? I'll cook because I need to in order to, not eat the same thing every day. But it doesn't bring me joy. Whereas my husband gets in the kitchen and he's like in his element. He loves it. He could add that to his list of things that he loves to do. It will not be on my list. But then you start to ask yourself, okay, take cooking, for example. What if you could cook all day, every day? Would you love that? Would you love being able to like experiment with food and make delicious things and watch people consume it? Imagine how it's serving their bodies. Jamie, I love that. No, Jamie, cleaning does not bring me joy. That's why you're the rock star. It is somebody's jam. It is somebody's gym. It doesn't have to be yours. Your only job is to find out what it is and ask really good questions around it. But your emotions are going to dictate your behavior. So if you are constantly putting the negative into your subconscious mind, whatever in your subconscious mind, you guys, has to be executed through the body. By law, it has to be. So if you keep looking at what's going well, even if you're like, I know I'm not in the line of work, I'm just going to keep going with this work example. Even if I'm not in the line of work that I'm meant to be in, so that you can work towards something different in a meaningful way that's actually going to support you, pull out what you do love about it. I know in probably my last 6 months at the hospital, I just was constantly focusing in on what is it that I love about this job. And I hung out with the people I love to work with because I knew I wasn't going to be working with them for the rest of my life, like I initially thought. And the people that didn't bring me joy, I didn't hang out with them. And that's just the way that worked. Okay? But ask those quality questions. Would I prefer to find a way of enjoying this job, or would I prefer a new job? What's the answer? Oh, I'd like a new job. Okay, now you know. Quality question number 2. What am I both good at and enjoy doing that I would love to get paid for? Even if a part of your mind goes, there's no way you could do that. There's no way you could do that and get paid for it. Reject that. Okay. What if you could get paid for it? What if it was the most sought after industry? You just didn't realize it. Okay. I'm good at working in or with or like ... Quality question number 3. What action can I take towards getting work in that industry? Maybe you start freelancing on the side. Maybe you partner with someone that's more experienced. Maybe you look for jobs that you get to grow into. Maybe you burn the boat and you're just like done with this job, hopping right in with this one. But you have to become emotionally involved with whatever your plan is. And at least if you are asking yourself those 3 quality questions, you are 3 steps closer to working in an environment and in work that you love, that you adore. Because the alternative is that you go down this rabbit hole for the next 30 years. But wait, then you get to retire. And then what? Once you get on purpose, you never retire from it. Heads up. You're actually born with it. Your purpose isn't a thing, it's a feeling. It's an energy. And when you're in it, you're in it. And you will always search for a way to be in it. And the moment you're not in it, you feel like you're disintegrating. Because that's law 101. You are either creating or you disintegrating. But how much of a difference would it make in your life if you decided to start asking yourself some better questions? To answer the questions in a way that are going to build you up versus break you down. Successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers. The way you've been asking questions and therefore answering questions up until now, it's only habit. It's just habit. But if you can ask more empowering questions, directed towards focusing your intention on something that you love, you will get an answer that you love. To rewire your questions, all it takes is some self-awareness so that you can catch your questions in the act. Like, I know when I first started doing this work, and even now, guys, this work never ends, by the way, just throwing that out there. The difference between when I first started and now is that now I have just enough self-awareness that the moment I ask myself a question that I know I'm like, I'll say to myself, what kind of question is that? And then I'll ask. When Dave and I were playing around with the idea of moving from Canada to Barbados, immediately, the moment we had the thought, my mind was like, we can't do this. And I started asking myself, what about the kids? What about the dog? What about our families? What about our business? What about this? What about this? And I started, and I'm like, and immediately though, thank God, again, awareness, I was able to shut it down and say no. And I said it out loud so that Dave, I could imagine he was doing the same thing, and said, we are only going to ask questions that are going to get us where we want to go. If we're meant to go to Barbados, we're going to start asking questions and we're going to get there. So we scratched all the what ifs that weren't going to get us to Barbados, and we only thought about how we were going to do it. And then we started taking action. How can I take action today? Remember, that's question number 3. How can I take action on that today? And I'm not kidding you. All whilst living our lives, within 10 days, we had our house sold, had our house here, had the kids in school, had our way that the dog was going to get here, had everything. And it was in the middle of a pandemic where nobody was going anywhere. And we still got here. Okay, so if you are feeling defeated in what you are currently doing, I want you to ask yourself those 3 awesome questions, quality questions. I love the quote that says, it is not the answer that enlightens us, it's the question. Okay, it is so easy to get focused on all the outward things and ignore the inward. But the questions that we ask, our self-talk that's directed at ourselves, it might be small and subtle and you think it's not a big deal, but it is powerful and it is dictating your life. It is dictating your health. It is dictating how much money you earn. It is dictating your relationships. It's dictating what jobs you work in and what jobs you don't work in. It's dictating everything. Respect the power of your self-talk and understand that asking yourself quality questions is going to get you a lot further than not. The goal is for you to be empowered. And this is a tool that you can use and take over and over and over and over again. If you missed our questions, hit rewind. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that you truly hop in, start asking some quality questions, and watch. It will absolutely change your life. You are only one thought away from getting anything that you desire. Have an awesome day, you guys.